Man, now that pretty much brought me to tears. Farewell, Robin. Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review, and this movie review is going to be for the third and final installment in the trilogy I am currently reviewing, and that is of course going to be for none other than the film that would be released in 2014, about 5 years after the last film in this franchise. That film is going to be for none other than 2014's Night of the Museum, The Secret of the Tomb. The third and what is supposed to be the final installment of this franchise. Sadly, that's not going to be the case because Disney Plus, of all fucking things, is going to be releasing an animated spin-off follow-up to this full trilogy where Kamala returns and Nikki's taking Larry's place as a night guard. Yeah, which I know is going to suck. But anyway, the point is, let's get on with the plot. Well, at the Museum of Natural History, there's a new exhibit being unveiled. Larry Daly, who manages the night exhibit where the exhibits come to life because of the tablet of Akhmenra, is in charge of the presentation. When the exhibits go awry, Larry finds himself in trouble. He learns the tablet is corroding, so he does some research and learns that Cecil, the former museum night guard, was at the site when the tablet was discovered. He tells Larry they were warned if they remove it could mean the end. If they remove it, it could mean the end. Larry realizes it means the end of the magic. He talks to Akhmenra, who says he doesn't know anything. Only his father, the pharaoh, knows the tablet's secrets. Learns that the pharaoh is sent to the London Museum. So he convinces Dr. McPhee, the museum curator, to help send him to London. He takes Akhmenra with him, but some of the others tag along, like Teddy Roosevelt, Alida, Octavius, Sacagawea, Attila, Sacagawea, Octavius, and Jedediah, and Dexter. So yeah, how was this film made? Well, around January 21st, 2010, co-writer Thomas Lenz said to Access Hollywood that he thinks it's a really outstanding idea to do Night of Museum 3. In fact, he wonders if someone's not even already working on a script for that. Like, he couldn't confirm that for a fact, but he couldn't deny it for a fact either. It could still be in the works according to him. Then in an October 2011 interview with the Hollywood Reporter, Stiller confirmed the sequel, but he said that was only in the idea stage. And in February 2013, it was announced that the film would be once again directed by Sean Levy and released on December 25th, 2014. And then around September 10th, 2013, it was announced that shooting would start in February 2014. Then around November 8th, 2013, actor Dan Stevens was cast as Lancelot. Then on November 15th, 2013, it was announced that Skylar Garcina would be replacing Jake Shuri in the role of Nikki Daly. And in December 2013, it was announced that Stiller, Williams, and Gervais would be returning for the sequel. Then in January 2014, it was announced that Rebel Wilson would play security guard in the British Museum. And then in January 2014, the film's release date was moved up from December 25th, 2014 to December 19th, 2014. And then on January 23rd, 2014, it was announced that Ben Kingsley would play an Egyptian pharaoh at the British Museum. Principal photography and production began on January 27, 2014. And then on May 6, 2014, it was announced the film would be titled Secret of the Tomb. Then in May 2014, principal photography ended. Shooting took place outside of the British Museum in London, England, and on a soundstage at the Vancouver Film Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, where scenes taking place inside the museum. The film would even sadly mark the final performances of Robin Williams and Mickey Rooney, and is dedicated to their memories. So yeah, and then after that, the film premiered on December 11, 2014 at New York City's Zinglin Theater, and was released in the United States, obviously, in December 19, 2014. And when it was released, it grossed over $363 million worldwide at the box office, became the lowest grossing film of the series, and like its predecessors, received mixed reviews. The film was dedicated in memory of Robin Williams and Mickey Rooney, who both died before the film's release. Now when it comes to me, I remember first hearing of the third film and just not being excited at all. Because y'all remember, this was back when I used to hate Battle of Smithsonian and viewed it as an inferior sequel. Although you all probably now know I don't hate it anymore after I rewatched it and reviewed it earlier this month. So yeah, around that time I didn't really want to see this movie and wasn't too hyped for it. Eventually, though, there would be a tragedy come with this film. It would end up being Robin Williams' final movie because he ended up committing suicide during the marketing of the film around August 2014. So this was going to be his final movie appearance. When the movie was released, I ended up getting dragged to this movie around January 2015 with a few friends of mine back in high school. And I gotta say, compared to the second film at the time, I actually decently enjoyed this one the first time I saw it compared to the second one. I rewatched it this week when I got back from my trip, and I enjoyed it even better the second time I rewatched it. This movie was definitely more entertaining than I thought it would be. Most of the jokes did entertain me despite at times being obvious, although a few do fall flat. The returning cast do a good job. Newcomer Dan Stevens as Sir Lancelot was my favorite character and was great fun to watch. There were also some great cameos which I did not expect and I won't spoil, but they were awesome. With its stern final installment, director Sean Levy returns to the magic that existed in the original Night at the Museum movie, which captivated filmgoers. As with many sequels, the third installment stays true to the premise of its predecessors and only slightly freshens up the premise with a couple of new characters and a swift change in location. As screenwriters David Goyen and Michael Handelman smartly bring back developed characters from the first film and don't muddy up the premise or story too much with overcomplications. Night at the Museum Secret Tomb is a pretty great movie with a well-developed plot and a brilliant cast. It's not as great as it could have been. I still think the first one is definitely the best by a hair, but it does improve on the second for sure. But thankfully they got the original characters to play an important role instead of getting a bunch of new characters to take their place like in the previous one. Because although I like those characters, I didn't mind some of those characters, though it's the ones for the first Night at the Museum we actually want to be seeing in this franchise. All the cast are on top form, with the humor, one-liners, and slapstick, hardly giving you enough time to catch your breath. I think La, a new Nocturnal that's been modeled on Larry, is pretty hilarious. And seeing the late Robin Williams as Theodore Roosevelt one last time really made me realize how funny it was and how he would be missed missed after this movie. The movie is really filled with the usual amazing special effects and takes you far and wide in a fast-paced race against this time that will have your sides spinning and your jaw aching. And then, of course, there's even another great surprise here. Dick Van Dyke, who in the beginning of this movie was actually the boy that originally saw the tablet that his father and other members of a crew, as he is now in the retirement home with Mickey and Bill Cobb's characters, he actually does help Ben's character out. So they actually did kind of redeem, well, technically speaking, Cecil and Reginald did redeem and put their tablet incident, stealing the tablet incident behind them, but we all, most of you who saw this movie, I think pretty sure you all know Gus sure did not. Because in the very final scene of Mickey Rooney he filmed, you can tell Gus is still pretty mad at Larry for almost putting him in jail. But it was nice to see the three elderly night guards return in a cameo again and be reformed this time. And this time and once again, in the plot, there's something wrong with the tablet that brings exhibits to life, and the only one that can help them out is Akmenro's father, who's played by Ben Kingsley. But that's the problem though. Marenka's in the British Museum, so they go. In the first one was set entirely in New York. Second one they go to America, all the way to Washington, and then this one they go to London, to a British museum to find Akmenro's father. We get to see what it is like for the exhibits when they are brought to life for the first time and how confusing and disconnecting it can be for them trying to figure out what is going on. We get to see the most prominently from Sir Lancelot's point of view as he helps out the New York visitors get through the museum. We even get a very good... And what's also more, what I will reveal for one of the cameos, guys... Hold on. We get a very good cameo scene of Hugh Jackman performing a Camelot play at a theater that the villain with Lancelot invades and even calls him Huge Ackman. And it's the closest, and this scene's kind of the closest to a Wolverine and Legion crossover as Dan plays Legion in the Tyler character's TV series. What's even better in the scene is that when Larry and the Gang are chasing Lancelot to the roof, Larry actually stops to praise Hugh Jackman for a brief second, and that was a very nice inclusion to the scene. So I really like they added that, and not just like them just running past Hugh unnoticed them. I actually like that Larry stops to praise him before continuing the chase first quickly. So yeah, it was a very good inclusion right there. And speaking of Lancelot, I thought he was a very cool villain, but he doesn't really come close to the three elderly night guards from the first film, or Count Monroe from the second film. Like Count Monroe was actually one of the few best things of the second one. I never felt like the movie could have been I feel like the movie could have been a bit longer too. And speaking of that brings us to the flaws. Speaking of flaws, there are obviously some, of course. Like, for instance, they returned the jokes about the monkey urinating, which was really disgusting in the first one. That was one of my bad qualities. The first one was the pee joke involving Dexter, and it wasn't necessary to bring that back. I still don't understand how, like, the tablet works. Like, it brings to life lion statues on London streets while Lancelot passes by, but it never turned the statue before New York Museum to life. Another thing is that in the first one, the old guy switched it off by turning the central part, but in the movie, everyone turns these plates as they want, and nothing happens. And it looks like strange that exhibits can travel on a long distance away from the tablet and still remain animate. Another flaw is some of the visual effects of performances. While some of them look pretty good, even others like the monkey tricks, which the real one couldn't perform, they just look bad and obvious CGI. And New Nendurl doesn't really look funny in almost every scene too. And like, he's not, sometimes the new Nendurl can be a bit annoying too, but it doesn't spoil the film too much. And as for the other cast, like, I thought Rebel Wilson was alright as Tilly, but I kind of prefer her way better as Fat Amy in Pitch Perfect. And I also don't like how this movie pretty much resets Nikki and Larry's relationship and puts them back to where they started in the first movie, where they were pretty much disconnected from one another, and I didn't really enjoy Nikki in this film either, and I found him a bit annoying. I mean, I get he's supposed to be a teenager in this film, but they don't even try to make him a bit likable, and replacing Jake Cherry was kind of a big mistake. But at least Nick is in this movie this time and does play a role again, unlike last time where he was just a cameo. But back onto the good qualities, and what's more is that, being the final installment, this movie has a load of tearjerker moments, specifically in the last very 15 minutes. The last 15 minutes are very hard to watch. Like, they're certainly the highlight of the whole movie. They're filled with emotion. I even felt sympathy knowing this was going to be the last time we see these characters, and kind of should have been the last time we see these characters. But even more so, because it would be the last movie we ever see Robin Williams in, on the big screen ever again. Like, this, Robin Williams' final scene during the last 15 minutes, it felt like we were really saying goodbye to him. Saying goodbye to him as a whole, and not just saying goodbye to his character, but also him in real life. Because 4 months before this movie came out, he would sadly die. God, and I really wish he were still around. And I'm happy these got to be his last few minutes of the film, because it was a sweet and heartwarming send-off that he deserved. And his memory will live on through the many people he made laugh and sometimes even cry with some of his films. So yeah, overall, in the end, guys, Night of the Museum's Secret of the Tomb, Final Verdict, is the perfect third installment and the perfect finale to this trilogy. I would heavily recommend it to anyone that loves this trilogy and want to see it close off perfectly. Anyway, that's it for my review of Secret of the Tomb, and if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Secret of the Tomb, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, if you want to see this franchise go out on a bang and see a perfect farewell to Robin Williams, then I would easily give this movie a watch and then buy it, add it to your collection for sure. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Secret of the Tomb, I'm going to give Secret of the Tomb an 8 out of 10. And if you're wondering what my original score was around the first time I saw it, originally I gave it a 7 out of 10, but so yeah, now that I've rewatched it and liked it even better, I give it an 8 out of 10 now. So yeah, my score has officially changed. And there we go. We pretty much now reviewed the whole Night at the Museum trilogy. So yeah, the first one's still the best. Third one's second best. And the second one is third place. And I'm not excited for that animated piece of crap we're going to be getting on Disney+. Just why? Why would you even make an animated 4 film? No. Alright, but until then, guys, That'll be it for this review. Thank y'all for watching, and if you like this, want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.